Exercising authority with awareness. In these four words comes the basic essence of Saturn 10. In our Indian context, we have a beautiful word that brings more clarity in understanding Saturn 10. The word is Karma Yogi. Swami Vivekananda's whole focus was on being a Karma Yogi. Such a man works tirelessly for the well being of the society, especially if he has other planetary placements that make him a social figure. Now, you need to understand what is Karma Yoga. Swami Vivekananda answers the question so beautifully that it should be written in gold. A native with Saturn 10 is a born Karma Yogi. Who is a Karma Yogi? A Karma Yogi is a man who realizes his own divinity through his work and his duties. Our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi has a Saturn in his 10th house, and those who live with awareness are well informed about how much he dedicates himself to the well being of our nation. Saturn 10 brings many hardships to the native because when Saturn is in the house of power, the whole chart comes under the lens of Saturn. And so the native has to live a disciplined life. In fact, the native is found to be disciplined and also loves those who are disciplined. Saturn 10 is a hard worker and never runs away from responsibilities. A positive Saturn 10 is indeed a great authority figure. However, the same Saturn 10 also makes the native a taskmaster. And a taskmaster is a very difficult and a tough boss. One has to understand the difference between Saturn 10 and Rahu 10. Saturn 10 native is a taskmaster but will not exploit his employees or his office members. Rahu 10 is also a taskmaster but will definitely exploit his employees or his office members. Saturn 10 is, for example, Saturn 10 is Narendra Modi because Modi has Saturn in his 10th house and Rahu in his 5th house. Whereas Rahu 10 is Adolf Hitler because Hitler has a Rahu in his 10th house and Saturn in his 11th house. Rahu loves all that is illegal and against the social norms. Saturn loves all that is legal and follows the social norms. Saturn 10, however, is a double-edged sword. If other planets are positive, then the person exercises his authority by remaining within the set boundaries of the organization. And if there is a negative Rahu aspect to Saturn 10, then there is a possibility that the administrator may someday become a dictator. Saddam Hussein had Saturn in his 10th house. His moon was with Rahu and Mars in the 6th house. So you can see how mentally violent, because moon Mars in the 6th house and obsessive to fights and wars, moon Rahu in the 6th, he must have been. And how much of killing and blood of innocent men and women he must have had on his hands. It is not a wonder that a day comes in his life, or rather, a day came in his life when he became a dictator. And so, Saturn 10 has the undercurrent to become the dictator if not supported by positive planetary aspects. Saturn 10 or Saturn 11 natives are double-edged swords. They are a great asset, but they can also become a danger to democracy. Dictator is bad, always bad, but as bad they are with the people, the more bad they are with the terrorists. Terrorists fear the dictator. That is the reason why there was no terrorist when Hitler was alive, or when Mussolini was alive, or when Stalin was alive, or when Mao was alive. Because the dictators are the greatest terrorists, you can call them official terrorists. Astrology is not black and white. Life is not black and white. There are always gray shades, and so you cannot generalize, though you can always get a feel of it. You can get a general idea about Saturn 10 potentialities, and that is what this whole sharing is all about. So, don't jump to conclusions. Astrology never concludes anything. Astrology simply provides you a way that may help you to conclude based on your level of consciousness. India had many prime ministers having Saturn in the second house, but India had only two prime ministers having Saturn in the 10th house. The first was late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and the second is the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi, serving second term. And both had absolute majority in the Lok Sabha, that is the lower house of parliament. Rajiv Gandhi was immensely popular during those times, just the way today PM Modi is popular among the masses. Saturn 10 brings popularity. Whenever Saturn is placed in the 10th house or the 11th house, the native gets associated with politics or with some kind of socio-political organizations, depending on the quality of Saturn 10 and other planetary aspects. But Saturn 10 always gets you in connection with those who are in power, or with those who are royal people, or who have a connection with royal family. Saturn is contrast to Ketu. Ketu is a sannyasi. He lives in a let go, while Saturn is an authority figure, loves to cling to power, loves to exercise authority over others. And so when Saturn is in the 10th, the person is constantly trying to reach to the top post because he wants authority. And so people with this placement, whether they are working in a private company or public company, or they are in social activists or party worker, they always have their eye on the top post. And a time comes when they attain their goal, they attain the top post. One should understand the true essence of Saturn. Saturn placement shows the pending karmic dues that the native is destined to finish. So when Saturn is in the 10th, the native is destined to exercise authority and execute the power for a certain cause. Now, whether that cause is related to the betterment of the society, for example, the way PM Modi or PM Rajiv Gandhi has Saturn 10, who worked for the betterment of the society, or whether that cause is related to exercising dictatorship and oppressing the common man, like Saddam Hussein. So it depends on what and how Saturn 10 would materialize based on the other planetary aspects. But if you want the naked truth, then Saturn 10 native are power hungry by nature. You can imagine how a mother-in-law with Saturn 10 would be. If you have a boss who has Saturn 10, then you are expected to slog day and night. As I mentioned earlier, Saturn 10 is a taskmaster. But even though he or she is a taskmaster, consider yourself lucky that your boss is not a Rahu 10 man. Else, your life would have been real hard. To be precise, real pathetic. A Saturn 10 person is better than a Rahu 10 person. Always remember this. So Saturn 10 is a positive boss even though he makes you work hard. The good side you must see is that a Saturn 10 native also works hard. You can say that he or she is a workaholic person. There is a strong connection between the 10th house, the 2nd house, and 6th house. It is a triangle, and so Saturn 6 is a workaholic, Saturn 10 is a workaholic, and Saturn 2 is also a workaholic. And as mentioned earlier, most of India's prime ministers either had Saturn in the 2nd house, for example, Nehru, Manmohan Singh, or Lal Bahadur Shastri, or they have Saturn in the 6th house, for example, VP Singh, PM Chandrasekhar, or Saturn in the 10th house, Rajiv Gandhi or Narendra Modi as we have now. Attached to power, authority, attached to mother, attached to wife, if any, attached to foreigners, and also interested in supernatural powers of the 12th house. So this is a kingly authority position because a king is interested in all aspects of life. He wants to have his authority in all aspects of life, quite an ambitious native. Someone who just loves to drive the company or the team or run the show or the administration. Reminds me of Alexander the Great. Probably nobody had been as ambitious as Alexander the Great. And a time came in Alexander's life when he had conquered all that he had wished for. And yet he had one wish yet to be fulfilled, and that wish was to become immortal. You see, this is how ambitious man is. He never stops. When the whole world comes under his feet, still he wants something more, something that can help him enjoy all that he has earned. And what can be more fulfilling than to become immortal? Because Alexander thought that once he becomes immortal, he can have all the pleasures and he can exercise his authority over all those millions of palaces and thousands of kingdoms and hundreds of women and maids and servants. And so one night, Alexander sneaks out of his palace to seek the secret that can make him immortal. And once he becomes immortal, then he will be the most powerful man on this planet, because then death cannot touch him. And so he sets out in search. He searched and went through all the mountains and valleys. When one fine day he came across an old man. His name was Diogenes. And Diogenes was one of the greatest divine masters of those times. He roamed naked. He had only one wooden bowl with him. He wanted to throw that bowl, but he had kept it to drink the river water. And when Alexander comes before Diogenes, Diogenes asks, "Why have you come to me? What is it that you want from me?" And Alexander is taken aback because he could see that this man is something else. He could see the joy, the bliss, the peace within Diogenes, and for a moment he felt like a beggar. The greatest emperor, Alexander the Great, felt poor before a naked man, Diogenes. For a moment, he felt that in spite of having all the wealth and power of this world, I don't have the joy, the bliss, the peace, the love that this man has. He felt jealous of Diogenes, the naked fakir, the divine master. Diogenes smiled. The master can always read your thoughts. Alexander said, I have come in search of immortality. I want to become immortal. Can you please show me the way towards immortality? Diogenes said, You have come to the right place. A few steps ahead, there is a big cave. If you drink the water of that cave, you will become immortal. Alexander must have been foolish. All Alexanders are foolish, otherwise, he should have asked the wise man whether he had drunk from that stream or not. He didn't ask. He was in such a hurry. All ambitious men and women are in hurry because they don't want to miss the bus. Alexander was also in the rush. He also wanted to catch the bus before it goes away, and so he rushed. He reached to the cave. Inside the cave, he was very happy. He could see crystal clear water flowing, and he had never seen such a water. It was the water that would make him immortal. And he was only a few steps away from drinking the water. And as he was going to drink the water, suddenly a crow who was sitting in the cave said, Stop! Don't do it. I have done and I am suffering. Alexander looked at the crow and said, What are you saying? You have drunk, and what is the suffering? The crow said, Now I cannot die, and I want to die. Everything is finished. I have known everything that life can give. I have known love, and I have grown out of it. And I have known success. I was a king of crows, and now I am fed up. And I have known everything that can be known, and everybody I knew has died. They have gone back to rest, and I cannot rest. I have tried all efforts to commit suicide, but everything fails. I cannot die because I have drunk from this condemned cave. It is better that nobody knows about it. Before you drink, you meditate on my condition, and then you can drink. For the first time in life, Alexander the Great had a second thought. He realized the futility of being immortal. He returned back to his palace without taking the water with him or without drinking the water. Always remember, if you go too much into exercising authority and if you go too much into being ambitious, then you will miss the other end of the life. You will miss the rest. You will miss to relax. You will miss death. And when you miss death, you become like that immortal crow who cannot die, who cannot take exit through his own ambition of being immortal. He invited so many miseries to his life. He is now stuck. He is now feeling suffocated. He cannot do anything through his ambition. He has finished all the possibilities of finding joy, bliss, and peace in his life. Never press too much, else life will become monotonous. That is how you become bored. Boredom comes when you are not willing to accept the other side of life, death. An ambitious person always wants more and more and more. He is not willing to stop. He is not willing to accept death. He is not willing to accept defeat. He is so much fired with his ambition that he thinks ambition is pure nectar when in reality it is not. History has been witness to the fact that all the major wars had been initiated by many such ambitious Alexanders. And in their madness, they killed so many innocent men and women. All ambitious men and women have always created more miseries in this world than otherwise. To attain your ambition, you have to crush others, and this is a naked truth. And so, all those ambitious men and women in your life, whom you know very well, if you look into their lives, you will realize that how many men and women they have hurt just to attain their ambition. It is said that the most bloodiest, cruel, ambitious Mughal emperor Aurangzeb was utterly disappointed and upset during his last days. While on deathbed, Aurangzeb writes a letter to his son Shah Azim. The instant which passed in power hath left only sorrow behind. This is the state of every Aurangzeb and every Alexander. Read further what he writes. The man who ruled over India was in utter fear of facing God. He writes to his son, I have a dread for my salvation, and with what torments I may be punished. Ambition always ends in misery. Aurangzeb died in a miserable state. Hitler died in a miserable state. Alexander the Great died without conquering the whole world. Diogenes had said to him, Come, join me, relax with me. But Alexander had said, I will join you, Master, but only when I have conquered the whole world. And this is what every ambitious man and woman says. I will come to you, God. I will start meditating. I will start turning inwards only when I have attained my ambition, my goals, my desires. And the truth is that desire never ends. After one desire is fulfilled, the another is standing in queue. The queue of desires never end, and you are always seen standing in the queue, waiting for the desire to be fulfilled, so that you can join Diogenes. But Diogenes had said, Alexander, you will never come back. Nobody comes back. One who is fired with ambition never returns home. He only gets lost in this vast human world. Saturn 10 native just have to remember this, that not to push too much, not to get lost in ambitions, because ambition obstructs creativity. Ambition becomes the greatest hurdle between you and the joy that you seek, the peace that you seek, the happiness that you seek. When ambition enters, creativity disappears. Because an ambitious man cannot be creative. Because an ambitious man cannot love any activity for its own sake. While he is painting, he is looking ahead. He is thinking, when will I get a Nobel Prize? It is ambition that creates bondage. Always remember this. Diogenes, the great master, had invited Alexander. He had said, "Come, join me." But Alexander couldn't because his ambition of conquering the whole world led to the bondage. He became his own prisoner. That is how you become your own prisoner. What traps you is your ambition. Wherever there is a desire and ambition, you are in bondage. From the very beginning, your family gives you ambitions. The society asks you, what is your ambition? And so you start believing that to attain happiness, you have to be ambitious. This is how the poison of ambition starts flowing through your being until a day comes when you meet someone as beautiful as the Divine Master Diogenes. Life is a process. Every birth is indeed a process. If you don't learn, if you don't self realize the true essence of happiness, then one more birth. This birth, you are exercising authority. That was your desire. That was your karmic due. That was what you wanted. Now, what next? If you still remain hungry for power, hungry for exercising authority, then one more birth will come your way. And this is how birth and rebirth cycle continues. Of course, it is not that every birth you will enjoy the same authority. It may vary based on how well you executed your authority this birth. So, someone who is a minister this birth may become a prime minister next birth, or a MLA next birth, or simply a queen of ants in the next birth. It all depends on the quality of your karma. Once it happened, a great Himalayan yogi was once having a conversation with his disciple, and suddenly a long queue of ants appeared before him. Looking at the queue of ants, he said to his disciple, "Look at that queen ant. The whole fleet of ants is following her. She is their queen." The disciple looked closely and he could see the queen ant and how she was being followed by all other ants. The yogi said, "This idiot queen was once the queen of a great kingdom. But look what has happened to her now. She is no more in human form. She is now an ant, but a queen ant." And then he laughed, a loud belly laugh. The disciple was touched by this great revelation. He quickly touched the feet of the master. You never know what you were in your last birth, and you will never know what you are going to be in your next birth until you yourself become the Buddha. There are many Pandits who will claim to tell your past, and you will also believe them, because that is how the monkey mind is. But to my few close followers, I appeal, do not fall for such past life tellers. They are all stories of the mind and not of the truth. The mind is not interested in consciousness. In fact, the mind tries in every way to remain as unconscious as possible. Down the ages, and every society and every culture has condemned alcohol and other intoxicating drugs, but to no effect. They have survived and they go on growing more and more influential. The reason is mind wants to drown itself in unconsciousness, which is its only relaxation. Otherwise, there is always tension because the unknowable is very close. The mind wants to forget all about the unknown, all about the truth. Truth can be known only when you turn inwards. Truth can be found within and not on the outward. Saturn 10 has a long way to go because when ambition and politics and power hungriness remains, the path to spirituality becomes more difficult. Once, a great Himalayan master whom I had met had said that the moment you are attracted towards power and politics, you start moving away from the sole purpose of this human life, which is self realization. Saturn is the politician, Ketu is the sannyasi, the divine master. Saturn is Alexander the Great, Ketu is Diogenes, the divine master. The material world needs Saturn, the spiritual world needs Ketu. What is right in your material world is wrong in Ketu's world. Saturn is attachment, Ketu is detachment. It is a deep subject, but for now, Saturn native should simply understand the message, and the message is simple, very simple. Curb your ambition. Some great presidents and prime ministers had learnt their lesson. They awakened, they self realized the futility of having ambitions to govern others. Saturn is comfortable in the 10th house, so materially the person slowly progresses in life, attains higher posts, but my sharing is not limited to what you gain from Saturn 10. My sharing is to simply help you realize that what you think as a gain is not the real gain. The real gain is the self-realization that all this ambition and all this running behind power is nonsense, a waste of time. Aurangzeb, as mentioned above, writes, "The instant which passed in power hath left only sorrow behind." Jefferson, the founding father of the United States of America and the third US president, could realize this sorrow that ambition for power leads to. Alexander also realized it, and so did Samrat Ashoka. And these were not common men. They were very powerful social figures, but they realized that which still the others haven't. The others are still running behind power, and they all are saying the same thing. They all are answering the same answer that Alexander the Great had given to Diogenes. I will come back when I conquer the world. Nobody comes back because desires never end. It is for you to decide whether you want to continue with madness or whether you want to come back to the Master. The Master never goes. The Master never can go away. The Divine Master is always here and now. The Divine Master can always wait. They can wait forever. The real question is, when are you going to come back? Once it happened. There was a young man and he set out in search of the Master, a real Master. Out on his way, he met an old man. He was seated beneath a tree. The young man said, "You look like a wanderer. Can you tell me where can I find my guru? I am in search of my guru, my master." The old man smiled. He said, "You go straight and take a right, and then on your way you will find your master." The young man thanked the old man and set out in search for the master. 20 years passed by, but the young man was not able to find a real master. He was disappointed. He was very upset. He decided to return back to his home. On his way back home, he came across the same old man, and the old man had now become very old, and he was still seated beneath the same tree. And at that moment, the young man suddenly was taken aback. He remembered that for last many years, the same tree, the same old man was appearing in his dream. And he had been ignoring the dream, but now he could connect the dots. Now he could not control himself. He rushed, he rushed towards the old man and he started crying. The old man said, "Why you cry?" And the young man, who was now no more young, burst out in tears and said, "You are my master. You are my master." The old man smiled with acceptance. The young man said, "Then why you never told me? Why you gave me the wrong address? Why, master? Why?" The old man said, "Because you were blind. When you came for the first time, you were not able to see me. You were not able to realize that I am your master. And the realization has to come from within. I cannot tell you. It is you who have to self realize it." The young man's eyes were filled with tears. He said, "But then all these 20 years had been wasted." The master said, "No, they are not wasted. In these 20 years, you realized who is who. You realized what is fake and what is real. Always remember, it is good to meet wrong people because those wrong people make you realize what is right in life." The young man dropped at the feet of the master. With tears, he cleaned the feet of the master. Looking at the young man, the master said, "And look at me. I have been waiting for you for all these 20 years. I haven't gone anywhere. I am still seated beneath the same tree." The master never goes anywhere. The master is here and now. The question is whether you have found the eyes to recognize his light, his omnipresence. It is only when you have found your eyes that you can come and join the master. The master is always waiting. He waits and waits to see when you come. The journey of the soul continues from wealth to power, from power to sex, from sex to properties, from properties to fame. Everything continues to come and go. Today you are poor, tomorrow you will be rich. This high and low continues, but the real life begins when you start moving beyond this high and lows. That is when Arjuna is born. That is when Buddha is born. That is when Jesus, Mahavira, is born. The question is never about what is wrong and what is right. The question is all about what you want, what you desire, what path you want to choose. Because what you choose is what you become. The whole story of life and births and rebirths revolve around you. Unless you change, nothing can change in your life. And therefore, to bring that positive change, to raise the quality of your desires, you have to start meditating. You have to start turning inwards. There is no answer as miraculous as the answer called meditation. But who wants to listen? And so the miseries, the agonies. Always remember, your quality of life is based on your quality of desires. Your quality of birth is also based on the karmic quality and quality of your desires. And so you cannot drop the desires, but you can always raise the quality of your desires. The same intense sexual energy can be raised to the higher spiritual energy. It is possible. That is how the yogi lives his life, not by condemning sex, but by transforming the sexual energy into spiritual energy. Everything is possible in this life, provided you are willing to take the effort. To all Saturn 10 natives, take the effort to realize when to stop, where to stop, because too much is the only sin, says Master Lao Tzu. For more details on Saturn 10, don't forget to read my post on Quora, or else visit my website to read more about Saturn in the 10th house. Enough for today. Thank you and stay blessed.